Hey everyone, CoreyMilhouse here for BetweenTheLanes.net, bringing you a deck tech on Wrothgar an archer deck with a bunch of charge creatures and Wrothgar Forge, a card that's been a bit forgotten in these archer decks recently. A lot of people are just more favoring the significantly more flashy, possibly more consistent Unstoppable Rage, but as a lot of you know, you've heard me and CVH and a number of others say that Unstoppable Rage not really as strong as people may think it is in this sort of token-esque meta that we're in currently. It's pretty good against a lot of those decks, but a lot of the better players are just better at playing against it and playing around it. So I decided to sort of take a similar shell with that, also combine with a little bit of the lethal / mid-range sort of archer, and just decided, let's get some Wrothgar Forges in there too for a little bit better late game and to make our charge creatures a bit stronger. So some of you may know I've been doing a little bit of complaining about how I don't really think that a lot of the meta is very interesting or fun or things like that. So I guess for me to be able to make a video at this stage of the game about a deck, I'm definitely having a lot of fun with it. I think it's extremely powerful. There's a lot of different lines that you can take. It's not really as much of a straightforward deck. Just curve out, same games all the time. Of course, Wrothgar Forge can give you any item in the game, so most of your games are pretty different when you have Wrothgar Forges in play. Maybe as many as 3. There's a lot of really cool, fun items that are out there. For example, I just got done playing a game where I got 2 Eclipse Baroness out back to back with the Wrothgar Forge, and each of them got the Dragon Priest mask, so it triggered its summon ability twice. So obviously a lot of really cool fun things, but I think most of you know what all these cards do anyway. Nothing really absolutely crazy out there. Ridiculous cards that have just been thrown in, except for maybe our friend Spiderworker here. So I actually want to talk a little bit about Spiderworker as soon as I can find it here, because come on. All right, let's do it like this then. Can I? Here we go. All right, so Spiderworker. Actually, this is one of the cards that actually makes this whole archetype work in my eyes. So it actually does a number of different things. First of all, it's a 2-drop that draws a card, very similar to Thieves Guild Recruit, also in the deck. So it's something that you can keep early, turn 2 or so, to be able to kind of just cycle into your deck and continue to draw. So it's pretty good early game to be able to get to some of your cards that are a bit more, meaningful in the mid game, trying to find things like Sanctuary Pets, Earthbone Spinners, possibly, trying to dig further and further to get your Wrothgar Forges, and it sort of just thins out the deck a bit. There's a lot of cycling, you get the Rapid Shots, we've got the Shadow Shifts, we've got the Spider Workers, the Thieves Guild Recruits, even at the top end, there's a Eclipse Baroness, so we have a number of cards that continuously draw cards for us, but it also does a couple of other things that are pretty interesting. It's a Prophecy, which is really awesome with Wrothgar Forge, so whenever your opponent is attacking you and breaks your runes, the way that Wrothgar Forge works is if it's their turn, it doesn't just say on your turn, it says summon a creature each turn, equip it with a random item. So it can trigger your Wrothgar Forges on your opponent's turn, which is pretty awesome. Same thing with any other sort of Prophecy creatures in your deck, like the Fighters Guild Recruits, and the Brotherhood Slayers, etc. Obviously, very, very powerful mechanic to go with Wrothgar Forge, but the deck really just kind of tries to get to the mid to late game and then just completely outvalues your opponent. So if you can play a creature like Spiderworker, it gets 1, 2, maybe if you're even crazy, you get 3 items on it. You then are presenting a threat and then also drawing a card into additional threats afterwards. It's similar to Raiding Party, where for 3 Magicka, you get 2 charge threats for free to go with your Wrothgar Forge. So Spiderworker actually has really found a home in a deck like this, where it does so many different things, and you wouldn't think so from a 0/1. And I know this is a card that I've played a lot in a number of different decks, and people have either thought it was a meme or thought it was funny. But actually, I think Spiderworker, possibly after Wrothgar Forge and Raiding Party, I think that Spiderworker might be the next most important card in this deck for it to function. You know, maybe some more charged creatures like Giant Bat, possibly, but I definitely, if you think that I'm crazy and you're trying to play this deck and you're thinking about cutting Spiderworker, don't do that. Promise you that you want this card in this deck. It fills so many different roles all at the same time for 2 Magicka, which is great. So, for the most part, all of this is going to look pretty straightforward. Like I said, with the charge creatures, really important with Wrothgar Forge to be able to close out the game and also interact with your opponent's board. So you see we have a number of different charge creatures. Obviously, Tazcat, a great way to be able to close out games against the slower control decks, especially with the Snake Tooth necklaces. Could be a really big swing turn. Giant Bat just has charge and drain all on its own. So if you've got multiple Wrothgar Forges, obviously great card to have with that. And Cliff Racer as well can just be a really big dude to be able to trade with whatever their really big dude is and hopefully live based on Wrothgar Forge. You notice that we have the suite of the 2 and 2 of the lane shifting cards. That's 2 Shadow Shifts and 2 Archer's Gambit. You don't want to run any more than those, otherwise you'll start getting clogged with them in your hand and you won't have any creatures to actually do anything with them. It's possible that, you know, maybe you want to run 1 Shadow Shift and 3 Archer's Gambit, but either way, I think 4 is probably the absolute maximum that you would want to play so that you can actually get through your game plan, still get either, you know, some cool kills with either lethal creatures or, you know, picking something for 1 with Brotherhood Slayer is really awesome to be able to get another completed contract in your hand and be able to power out something like a Wrothgar Forge or an Eclipse Baroness. And Leaf Lurkers, the full 3 set. So you have a really good way to be able to deal with a lot of creatures on the board between all of the lethal creatures that you have. You know, with Archer's Gambits, the old Rapid Shot, Leaf Lurker, you know, coming at you since August of last year. Still really good, still really strong. So highly recommend this deck. It's tons of fun. People sort of ask, you know, what decks should people be playing? What's this good against? This deck definitely has game against pretty much everything right now. You'll notice that there aren't any belligerent giants, really aren't any ways to deal with a lot of supports. So some support heavy decks, and you know, maybe if Ramp Scout hits a perfect curve and you can't really deal with all of their Hiss-Grows before they kill you, you're probably going to lose that game no matter what deck you're playing anyway. So deck is a lot of fun. Again, if you're looking for something with a lot of different lines of play and not is just strictly straightforward, this deck is definitely for you. I really wish you best of luck playing it. You're going to need a couple of games probably to get the hang of it and really understand where it is that you need to be in each of the different matchups to be able to be successful. But overall, a lot of really fun plays and interesting stuff that you can do. So once again, CoreyMilhouse signing off here with Wrothgar Char. Good luck.